Hey guys, Mark with Magazine Collector here, coming at you with another virtual unboxing video. Um, Today I've got a submission of, there's actually 7 magazines. I'm trying to think back why I would have submitted 7 together. Normally I do multiples of 5, it just makes sense with their shipping, but this time there's 7 in this submission. Few different things. I've got a couple wrestling magazines. I've got a slam magazine, and an SI China that could be kind of interesting. So along with a few other things, but yeah, let's get into it here. Gonna grab my submission, and like I said, this is the first time of me seeing these grades also. So let me bring up number 1 here and see what we've got. All right. So 7.5. This is the July 1989 WWF magazine. It's got Hulk Hogan on the cover. It's not a super valuable magazine, but I like Hulk. I like this cover, and I think it looks really nice and presents well. So went ahead, picked it up, got it graded, and got a 7.5. Some of the greater notes on this one: spine stress lines, stacking bends, and finger bends. So let's take a look at him a little closer here. I would say that looks better to me than a 7.5. Just quickly looking at it here. So unless there's something that I really missed, it's got a little corner ding there. Take a look at the back. I mean, it does have a few spine stress lines, but I've seen a whole lot worse get a better grade, I feel. So I think that presents better than a 7.5 personally. And again, big fan of Hulk. This is one of, not super early stuff, but 80s. Those 80s wrestling magazines I think are just cool. So got a 7.5 on that one. Um, doesn't appear to be a whole lot graded. Let's take a look at the census here. There is a 9.6. There's a 9.4, a 9.0, and 7.5, and a few down from there. So 10 total graded. That'll be 11 once mine gets added to the census, but kind of mid-range with that 7. Um, some of the sales on this guy, again, like I say, they're not super valuable. This issue isn't. CGC 9 recently sold for $99, and a 6 sold for about $50. So again, not super valuable, but I think they're just cool. So let's go ahead and move on to the next one here. See if we can only go up from here. Number 2. Well, went up a little bit. Went to an 8. So this is the WWF. It would be April of 1988. Again, Hogan on the cover. Iconic picture. Love the picture. Love Hogan. Um, some of the notes on this one, we see some of the same kind of things: spine stress lines, stacking bends, finger bends, and multiple indents. Gonna kind of look for that if I can here. But again, real cool picture. These old 80s WWF magazines I think are super cool. Yeah, again, I feel like that presents better than a 8. There is a pretty decent line right there. But other than that, I would say it looks pretty clean. Check out the back for those spine stress lines. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like it looks better than an 8. But it is what it is. Again, not a super valuable issue either way. So just one that's cool to have. If we look at the census for this 1988 wrestling magazine, so top pop on this one is a 9.0. Then we have an 8.5, a couple 8.0s, and then a few more down from there. So again, I'm going to be right in the middle at that 8. So I'll take it. This one seems to have a little bit more value than the last one I looked at. A 9 recently sold for 140 bucks, an 8 sold for 113. So I'd be right in that range if I decide to sell this one. But that might be a hold for me for a little while. I kind of like these old WWF magazines, and I've got a few more laying around, mainly Hulk. So might see some more in future submissions here. But yeah, something kind of cool. All right, let's go on to number 3 here. 9.2. All right, so this is the 2020, I think is March, looks like March, April 2020 of Slam. This is Paige Beckers, so the UConn women's basketball star. So she's right in the middle of the tournament right now. They're looking pretty good, and we'll see what happens. But anyhow, I had this one. I thought I might be a little better than a 9.2, but it is what it is. So we've got spine stress lines again. We've got an indent, stacking bend, and a scuff. So let's take a look at this one real quick. This, I believe, yeah, first Paige Beckers cover. So, and this is her high school uniform. Let's take a look. Looks pretty clean. I like that. This isn't a super common issue to find. It brings a little bit of money, even just buying it raw. So I think 50 bucks or so. Buying this one raw when you can find it. Over the last few years, I've really become a women's college basketball fan. It started with me, of course, with Caitlin Clark, and has kind of moved since there. You know, I like watching Paige, Juju, Olivia, and Hannah at Notre Dame. I don't know, just lately I've been more drawn to the women's college basketball game than the men's. I know it's not as popular for cards or magazines, but just interesting to me. So... all right, that one I think I will probably hold on to. Again, this isn't a super valuable one. Some of the recent sales actually have kind of been all over the place. There have been 3 9.4s sell recently. One was sold for $400, one sold for $129, and then just real recently I know one sold for $78. And then there was an 8.5 that recently sold for $102. So again, not super valuable. I'd put it right around that $100 range, $120 range, but kind of a neat cover. I like that one. All right, let's move on to number 4, something a little different. Ah, 9.2. Okay, again, this is one I was expecting better on because it is kind of an ultra-modern magazine. This is the Newsweek Japan from November 19th of 2024. This is from when Trump won the election. This is what the Japan Newsweek looked like. And I've said it before, and I'll say it again. I'm not political with any of this stuff, but Trump, he just sells very well. So usually when there's anything interesting of his, I'll pick it up, get it graded if it's in that quality, and go from there. So yeah, this I thought was a cool cover. If we open it up here, it actually has Shohei on the front also, and then Trump with the big American flag in the background. You got Melania, and I'm a big fan of the Japanese writing. I think it just looks kind of neat. So this whole cover I just thought was pretty cool, so picked that one up. Let's take a look at here. Japanese edition, November 19th, 2024. A little disappointed with that 9.2. I'll have to go back to those grader notes and take a look at them again, but I thought this was better than a 9.2. I may have gotten a tough grader with this submission because I thought all of mine were better than what I've gotten so far. Spine stress lines, finger bends, and then a light multiple scratches on the back. So again, I mean, there's maybe one very small stress line. I don't see the spine stress lines on these that all of these issues have pointed out, really. Normally when they say that, you can zoom in on these pictures and you can really see them, but I see where there may be the small scratches that they're talking about. But again, not super impressed with that grade, but we will take it and move on. Yeah, cool cover. Looks to be, looks like 9.2 is going to be the top pop, so mine will be the top pop. Looks like there's one other 9.2, and that's the only other one graded. So I'm sure as more of these get submitted, this will not be the top pop anymore. Again, because it's a very modern magazine, and we should be able to get those 9.6s, 9.8s on this one. And with that being said, again, on valuation, there's been none of these sold, so don't have any kind of valuation for you on this one. Let's go to number 5. Got a few more left. Again, we've got 7 total for this one. Number 5. 7. Okay. Let's take a look at this one again. So 1989 NBA yearbook. Michael Jordan on the cover. I love this cover of him going up for the reverse dunk. So again, let's look at the grader notes. Spine stress lines, a reader's crease, a dent, finger bends, and a crease. Right top of front cover. Let's take a look at this 7, see what we think. You can definitely see the little corner crease up there that breaks color, so that's going to bring it down. Yeah, there is that kind of, the stress line running along the whole binding of this one. All right, yeah, and a crease down here. So that 7 is deserved on this one. I can't complain too much about that one. Still looks really cool. I really like that. Really like that issue. And there's your back for you. Let's look at the census. So not a ton of these graded. 8.5 is going to be your top pop, and then there is 1.75, 1.7, and a few below that. So again, this was a 7, so kind of mid-range. On valuation on this one, a 8.5 recently sold for $260, and a 5 sold for $60. So again, not a ton of value, but I love the look of that. Some of those old 80s Jordan stuff, you kind of his pre-first title. I love those magazines. So this is a pretty neat one, and we'll go with that 7. I'll look for a better copy of that and try to improve upon it. All right, 2 more. Let's look at number 6. Oh, 5. Okay. This is the Sports Illustrated China that I was telling you about. Not a common issue. I don't see this one in the wild just too much. The other thing with the Sports Illustrated Chinas is they are very hard to press. They seem to be made of a different type of material that is really hard to press out any kind of imperfections. So, yeah, and this grade kind of goes with that, a 5.0. I thought this was a little better than that. I know it has a few spine issues, but spine stress lines, finger creases, stain left bottom, stacking bend of the front cover. Okay, the stain left bottom. I'm curious about that one. Yeah, so here's some of these lines that I was saying. They're just, with the material that these covers are, they're very hard to press and improve upon them at all. Okay, there is the stain right there. So, yeah, 5 is probably deserved on this thing. So there is a fair amount of spine stress lines and other imperfections. This is a cover of Kobe that I submitted. Again, just not very common. You don't see them come up very much. So, and I like the look of it. with the Team USA basketball jersey on. There's your back. Again, quite a few imperfections on it. Okay, so 5 is probably pretty fair for this guy. I will take that. Yeah, but just a cool look to it. I like that one. None of these have been sold that I could find any data for. If we look at the census, again, I've got the 5. So I've actually got the low pop, and above that there's a 5.5 is actually the top pop for this magazine. So there's only been 2 graded, 3 now with mine. So again, like I said, it's hard to find. Not a common issue at all. Only 3 total graded, with 5.5 being the top. So yeah, I'll take that 5 with the imperfections that we saw there, and go with it. I love that one. Okay, one more, number 7. Eight five. Okay, so this is Time from May 9th, 2022. This is the Elon Musk Twitter cover. Some of the greater notes on this one: spine stress lines, multiple creases, light stacking bend, and light scratches. This is another cover that is not super common, I would say. You can find them out there. When you do find them, they still bring a decent value to them. But yeah, this is when Elon took over Twitter, now X, and Time had him on the cover here. So let's take a look. There's that one. Elon is another one that I have pretty good luck selling a lot of his stuff. Another controversial person, especially now that he's kind of aligned with Trump. But again, he's somebody whose magazines do sell pretty well. So that's why I went ahead and got this one and graded it. I'd say it looks pretty good. A little bit of spine wear. If we look at the back there, you have stress lines on the back. Yeah, those are pretty noticeable. So this is the kind of thing I was saying on those 7s and 8s of those WWF magazines. I could really see no spine stress lines, and I thought those looked a lot better condition than this one does. But the graders know a little bit more about it than I do, so we'll just have to take it for what it's worth. Again, yeah, Elon, the Twitter issue, 8.5. Looks like my 8.5 is the top pop. There is one other 8.5 graded, and that's it. So there'll just be 2 issues graded now, both 8.5s. And so this is top pop for now until we see something better come out. Yeah, again, this one also no issues sold. So, well, I think that's it for this submission today, guys. Oh, one thing I didn't note at the beginning, I always like to kind of note how long the submission time is taking me. This one, it took 6 days from receipt to received, and then it took an additional 65 days to be graded from that time. So by the time I get it back in hand, I'll be at 75 total days door to door, which is actually a decent increase from where I had been. I had been in the 55 to 60 days. So for whatever reason, this one took quite a bit longer, an additional 2 weeks about. So I know I've seen a lot of complaints online recently of submission times, and maybe that's a common theme that everybody's going through right now. But yeah, this is kind of my one that has taken longer than normal for me. So again, about 75 days door to door. So yeah, I think that's all I've got for you. So I appreciate you guys sticking with me. I love seeing the comments and the likes and shares. So until next time.